The purpose of interviewing an athlete is so that people can get information on the athlete's point of view. For example, after a football match, footballers are interviewed and asked for their opinions on tricky situations that may have occurred during the match, such as like red cards or penalties or stuff like that. There are different types of way that an athlete can be interviewed. The main types being social media, TV, newspapers, and even radio stations. The way they communicate with these different types of medias is very important. Also, the way athletes communicate with significant others is also important. The significant others being things such as fans, managers, and coaches, officials, agents, sponsors, teammates. The main methods of communication that athletes will use are verbal and non-verbal. Verbal communication is when an athlete is actually speaking and using words, whereas non-verbal is more like what you do while you're speaking, whether that be using gestures or making eye contact with the person. A good way for the athlete to show that he or she is listening is by using a combination of both verbal and non-verbal communication. Things such as making eye contact with the interviewer is good, as they know that you're listening and maybe it shows more interest in what you're talking about. Body language can also be used because it's very important, as if you don't show the correct body language in what you're saying, it may come across differently. The speed at which the athlete chooses to speak is also one of the main things, as if an athlete was to speak really fast, some people may not understand and get to grips with what the athlete is trying to say and come across with. Whereas the athlete speaks too slowly, things may become boring and people might not want to watch and find it not interesting. The athlete's idiolect is also important, as if they use slang, older people might not understand. It may make them seem a bit different. Also, swearing is a big one as well, because if an athlete is to swear, it may make fans of that athlete think differently of them, or if they swear and young people look up to them as role models, it might have a bad influence on them. However, when communicating with significant others, such as fans or officials, a good thing to remember and to show when communicating is that they don't show too much emotion, as if the fans are being horrible, they shouldn't show too much aggression towards them. They should also not show no emotion, just show like a certain level of emotion. Humour is also a good one. Body language and a lot of respect is needed when talking to the significant others. Not only is effective communication to do with verbal communication, it's also to do with non-verbal things, that nodding your head during interviews, showing interest, giving gestures to help examples, and also appearance. Appearance can be a big one, as many people make judgments on how an athlete looks. Not how the athlete then dresses for the interview. If it is a radio interview, it doesn't so much matter because the athlete cannot be seen, whereas he can only be heard, so he or she should focus more on the verbal side of it. Tone of voice is also a good way for a good thing for an athlete to remember when communicating. Tone of voice, because different tone of voice can give a different story to what is actually being said. Thing to remember while communicating. So when on social media, knowing that what you write stays there forever can also be a good thing for athletes to remember. Knowing that anyone can see your post and trust in people that you communicate privately, like to fans, so just remember what they're saying. Public and fans, you have to have a knowledge of the audience that may be watching, so whether that be when you're on TV, you know how to act, the appearance is very good again. When speaking to sponsors, show respect and know how to communicate. Also knowing the reputation is good. Athletes should prepare for an interview because it can either be pre-recorded or a live. If it's a live interview, you get honest reactions out of the athletes, so the athletes have to be careful of what they show. Also, they have no time to think of a correct answer, therefore they have to be very quick on their toes and try not to show too much emotion again. Whereas pre-recorded interviews can be planned and the questions may be given to them, so it makes it a lot easier for the athlete to give good answers, correct answers at a quicker pace. Gives the person a lot more time to be prepared and more confident in what they're saying. It also helps the person so they don't freeze and they don't panic during the interview and they don't waffle, because most interviewers are trying to catch the athlete out in controversial incidents, and just get their opinions on things. An athlete should have a career plan so that they can understand the easy steps that they need to take in order to get to where they want to be. It is important to also have a backup plan because life is unpredictable and you may need a backup plan because anything could happen. It also shows good organisation skills and that you're ready for anything that is thrown to you. Lucy is my athlete and Lucy's sport is rugby. Her short-term goal is to continue with her knee exercises in order to speed up her recovery so that she can then move on to her medium-term goal, which is to begin playing rugby again for a club so that she can gain more experience and refresh her memory or the skills that are needed in rugby. To then move on to her long-term goal, which is to become a physiotherapist at a rugby team. However, if this does not go to plan, Lucy's backup plan is to become a sports psychologist. For this, Lucy will have to do a course in sports psychology at a university. Depending on what course she is going to take, it could take from 4, 6 or 8 years. To be able to get into university, the requirements for most of them are DDM in sport, and some want good grades in maths and English too. And the average wage for the sports psychologist in the UK ranges between £31,655 and £53,820. By having goals, Lucy is able to then do step by step, go through her goals to achieve where she wants to be. It makes it easier for her to understand and push herself more to get to them goals, knowing that she will achieve or make her want to achieve the next one. When I did a SWOT analysis on Lucy, I found out that her key strengths were leadership skills, teamwork and communication. Also, her IT skills were quite good, coaching and good technical ability in her sport. Her weaknesses were that she was impatient, she wasn't good at maths, she also doesn't have very good self-motivation, but she has a good opportunities in what she wants to do because she has good financial support. She's also close to facilities. However, the strengths are that she's got no time, she's prone to injury, and she doesn't really have supporting parents. By doing a SWOT, this can help Lucy's process as she can then turn her weaknesses into strengths and change some of her threats into opportunities. I would suggest that for Lucy's weaknesses, she could improve her self-motivation by finding something that she really enjoys and wants to push herself more and more every day. Also, for Lucy's math skills to improve, she could just do online tests or get an app on her phone and just continue working on her math skills. And for Lucy to improve being impatient, that's Lucy's very impatient with younger children, so if she becomes more tolerant to them, then it will improve her impatience at the same time. By using this SWOT, Lucy will then be able to help her improve and reach her goals that she has set in her goal settings.